Well, hello, ladies. Welcome to week 2 of the Balanced Entrepreneur Circle. So, I know today a few of you couldn't make it and some are running a little bit late. So, I just wanted to kickstart it because I do have another session after this one today. So, what I'm going to do is we're going to get into what rituals are and just a little bit more work around that daily planner that I sent. Hopefully, the ladies who join me during the session, we can do a little introduction then. So I wanted to firstly touch base with you and just ask you how you went with your circle last week, and has it got you thinking about different elements of your life a little bit more? So I know for me, I've revisited mine, and for me, a lot of boundary things came up this week. And I was tested probably 3 or 4 times with different situations that have spanned over years of me not having very clear boundaries. And I'm very happy to say that in all cases, I really handled it a lot differently than I used to. So I think once you start identifying this stuff, it really does help you make those changes so that you grow as a person, and so that those choices that you're making and the reactions you have to different situations also change as well. So I want to hear from you, and if you can add into the group how you've been going with yours. Thank you so much, Geraldine, for asking your question in the group today as well. But really use that group as your support system. It doesn't mean that you have to go into the nitty-gritty if you don't feel confident sharing that stuff with us. But the importance of this circle is to have that sisterhood, I guess, and to be able to connect and share different things with each other. We're here to help each other. So when we look at a ritual, I think there's a lot of buzz about that word at the moment. And it's really, for me, it's creating a new habit. Ritual for me has a more spiritual kind of meaning behind it, but it really is all about creating a new habit, changing something little in your life that is going to give you the outcome that you have been hoping for. So when we have a look at a ritual, its meaning is a sequence of activities involving gestures, words, and objects performed in a sequenced, that's a different word than I actually thought it was, place, and performed according to a set sequence. So it's basically saying that it's just a new habit, and it's one that you do day in, day out, and you can do it by using things or places, whatever it is that helps you form that habit a bit more. So when we look at your day-to-day rituals at the moment, what are we seeing? So do you have any? Some people don't necessarily have a ritual, or they do, but they don't know what a ritual is and sort of don't gel it together. So I can tell you my ritual, and I'm going to give you a day of living in my life, and please hold your seats because it's not that exciting. But the daily planner I sent you out will really help you track a lot about your life, and I use that format for me with my day, and it helps me plan my day and really stay in touch with what I need as a person, not as a mum or an entrepreneur or any of that stuff. It's what I need as a person. So you'll see on that beautiful daily planner, there is things like your food, how are you nurturing your body, movement, self-care, water, sleep, all of those things. And then even tasks for the day. What tasks do you have in your business or maybe in your life that you need to get done? And you'll note that I only have 3 tasks. And you'll note that even in the Holistic Business Tribe on a Monday, I write 3 tasks, because I don't think we need to overwhelm ourselves with a page of things to do for a week or even for a day. By cutting it down to 3, it's less overwhelming, and you have all week. So you can do 3 today, 3 tomorrow. If you get those 3 done, get on to the next 3. So it's really cutting it down into small, sizable pieces to allow you to create the balance. So have a look at that and see how that makes you feel. See if you can print it off, maybe get it laminated, get a whiteboard marker, and then just have it beside your desk so that each day you can tick things off. If you want to have it more as a record of what you're doing day to day, I've sent it to you in a Google Doc. So you can go into Google Forms and you can edit it each day and maybe save a copy in a separate folder so that you can just keep doing it on your device each day and then saving it into a folder. So you're keeping a record. I've also just suggested in the email that if you want to now, because you're starting all these beautiful new rituals, go into your journal or your diary and start writing in there how you're feeling right now. So if you're feeling like maybe your rituals and your day-to-day is unbalanced, which I'm pretty sure you are because that's why we're here. So start putting down those feelings that you're feeling now, and then what we're going to do is we're going to check in on that, down the track. So on beautiful milestones through this, we're going to check in and see how that feels. So start writing that down. The other thing that we have to keep a document of how you're feeling is that life history that you filled out at the start and the lifestyle wheel. So this whole process is going to be documented, and not just for me. I obviously want to see your progress as well, but it's for you. It's for you to see how well you're doing, and for you to see how setting up different things like rituals can help you change your life and your lifestyle. So when we look at my day-to-day, as I said, it's not very exciting, to be honest. But I have had to implement a lot of different things because, as most of you know, I have 2 businesses, a crazy 5-year-old son. I'm a single mum. What else? I have a puppy who's also crazy. I say crazy in a very loving term. But it's full on. So when you look at that, and I know you ladies in the group have very full on lives as well. So when I was looking at creating my rituals, one of the big things that I thought last year was I had no time. And that is a common thing that we all think. We think, oh my God, I can't physically stick another thing in my day because it's chockers and it's got so much going on already. But in essence, I guess it's not true, and maybe that's us making an excuse of why we can't look after ourselves. And I found this to be true last year. So I thought that I had no time to do anything, and I wasn't looking after myself or my health, my well-being. Everything was shot, and I was just looking after the business and the people who were directly in my life. I was just putting all of my energy into them. So I made a conscious decision last year to start looking after my health and my fitness more, because I was losing lots of hair, I was stressed, I was having moments where I was laying on the couch some afternoons because I couldn't get up, the room was spinning around like I had vertigo. Everything was really not good, and some days some weeks it would take me days to recover. So I had to make changes in my life, and it's funny how I know all this stuff because I studied it and I've done it before and I've lived it, yet sometimes when you're in the middle of it you need guidance, and that's why these circles are great, because we can help each other. But when you're in it and you don't have anyone to talk to about it or guide you, you often just keep going down that little rabbit hole to, nowhere fun, to be honest. So I made that decision last year, and I actually started doing my rituals by time blocking them into my calendar, because I always said I had no time. Yet when I blocked it in, I had time. So for me, it was because I was being run. My whole life was run on that calendar. I knew when Reese had his stuff, but everything else was run on the calendar. So I used it to my advantage, and I started to book in every morning I booked out 2 hours first thing in the morning when I knew I dropped Reese off to daycare, and I'd drop him off, and then I'd book 2 hours out, and I had that booked in my diary as gym. And that's all it was. And for 6 months, that is what I did. I actually went to the gym 5 to 6 days a week because once I got there, I loved it. And if I didn't do it, and I'm even like that now, if I don't do it, I feel lost if I don't have my morning movement, because it helps me think, it helps me get ready for the day, and it really helps just motivate me and inspire me to keep going. So I had that booked into my diary, and if I didn't go to the gym, it didn't matter. I would go for a walk, or as long as I was doing some kind of activity. But on a subconscious level, it had to be booked in my diary. So that was one of the things I started to implement. And then the other thing I started to implement was of a nighttime. I was working late. I was working up, and because I have Reese, I would drop him off in the morning, do the gym, work all day, pick him up, work, do dinner, put him to bed, and then work again. So it wasn't very balanced for me, because then I would turn the computer off and I would try and go to sleep, and I couldn't go to sleep. Yet I would be up at 5 o'clock in the morning like I always am. And especially while we're doing toilet training, I'd be up 3 or 4 times during the night as well. So I wasn't getting enough sleep. And a lot of that has to do with the technology we're using these days. So I started adding another ritual in my day, which was switch off at this time, have, 1 to 2 hours of just being. So whether that, I still don't mind. I watch a little bit of TV, but I always make sure I come to bed and I lay there for at least half an hour. I'll either listen to some Louise Hay's affirmations, which helps me sort of go to sleep, or I will go through a gratitude practice, which is basically me lying in bed and in my mind saying, I'm so grateful for this that happened today. I'm so grateful for having a roof over my head, for having food in my cupboard, for having a gorgeous sun. So having those things, giving that gratitude, it really helps get thoughts out of your mind, and it starts putting you into a more positive place, which helps you rest. So all of those elements really are important. Turning off devices so that your head is not stuck in that tech world where you're thinking about who posted what. Maybe you've seen a yucky post on the news, blogs, or something like that. Turning that off and having that space is really important. Having your downtime and just being able to unload the events of today. So letting yourself know, okay, today's done. It's in the past now. I'm having my good, grateful thoughts, and I'm moving on to what tomorrow can bring. And it really just helps your mind settle and allows you to go to sleep. And I can tell you, I have the nights that I can't sleep is when my mind just unfortunately doesn't want to switch off. But they're really rare now. There may be once every 4 or 5 months. It's not very often at all. And it could be because something has happened directly before I went to bed. So, it all really plays a good part. So if you can see, that's the importance of having rituals. It's about being consistent with what you're trying to do and doing it every day, the same sort of pattern, so your body gets used to this new habit, and also so that you can start forming these beautiful new steps in your lifestyle. So my day now is fairly similar, but because Reese's at school, I had to adjust my rituals. And I think this is something that's really important as well. Life will throw lots of different things at us, and it's about how we go about tackling that makes all the difference. Previously, a change like this, or sometimes after I had Reese, I had lost heaps of weight because I was running every day. And then as soon as I moved to a new place, I had this anxiety about running these new streets and not knowing and feeling like self-conscious. So I wouldn't run, and then I'd put on all the weight because I just wouldn't exercise. So it's important that when life throws you something, a bit of a curveball, like this year, Reese starting school, no longer could I drop him off a little bit earlier to daycare and pick him up earlier. I have to stick within the school hours, which means my days are shorter for my clients. And my morning, I don't get home now from drop off until about, 8:45. And that's when I was getting home from the gym, ready to start my day. So I had to adjust my rituals. And so now I get up, I train at home. It's not very exciting, and I'm working on changing it up a little bit, but I do my best with my backyard and running around the house and inside the house or wherever I need to do my training. I, get Reese set for school, take him to school, work for a little bit, maybe 1 to 2 hours. I try and get as much as I can done. And then I make sure I pick myself up from my desk around 12:30. I go and watch Dr. Phil. That's another little, nice little ritual I have. But for me, it's more of the fact of walking away, having my lunch away from the computer, and just having me time. So I'm making sure that it's not all work, and I'm not bringing my lunch into my desk like I used to at the bank. Or like I used to last year when I was working. I worked at home, but I just was at my desk all day trying to look at Facebook and get new clients, and it was too much. So that's another ritual I formed, is making sure I go and have a lunch break. And if it's not with Dr. Phil, I go and have it with my friend, or I go and sit at a cafe and have lunch by myself. But I try and have lunch and have that time to myself. And then the good thing about the school year for me is that Reese finishes at 2:40. So I can't take any clients after 2. So I have my lunch, I come home and I work until about 2:20, and then I go pick Reese up. We do homework, we do a bit of a download for the day. He's pretty set then to watch his cartoons for a little bit. And then I do a little bit more work, and then have to do dinner, baths, everything like that. So I try not to switch on again after that part. After Reese goes to bed, I try to have that time to me again. Every now and then I will, if I've got content, or like with the email last night, I had that ready to go to you ladies yesterday, but I had a networking event. So I wanted to put in a couple of extra hours after dinner, which I did. But I made sure that I stopped it once I had done that specific task. I chilled out a little bit. I had a cup of tea. I went and laid in bed, went through my gratitude practice, and then I was out to it. And I basically sleep for about 8 hours a night. Unfortunately, for some reason, my body doesn't like me sleeping any more than that. I'm right on 8 hours. I have this little tracker too, so I don't know whether this is something that would interest you. I just have to turn the fan on. Beautiful Queensland weather, you can never tell. It's been so cool, and now it's back to being hot again. so sorry, just give me a second. Yes, it's really good to grab yourself a tracker. So for me, what this helped me do, it's helped me in a lot of ways. When I was looking to lose the weight, mine was I wasn't moving enough. And I think sometimes we go, yeah, but I did. I walked here and I walked there. But they say the average is 10,000 steps a day. And that's a lot. Even when I train in the morning, and sometimes I can run between half an hour to an hour, and I still don't get 10,000 steps. But it's all the things I do during the day that helps me get to 10,000 or 12,000. So if you can imagine, if I take out that training I'm doing in the morning, take out that couple of extra blocks I park away from Reese's school, really we're not getting much movement in our day. So this one's a Fitbit. I actually exchanged my Flybuys points. So if you have Flybuys, you can exchange points for one of these little babies. It's not the flashiest one. I didn't need anything flash. But this one actually helps me track my steps. It allows you to put in water intake, so you can put in there how much water you've had, tells you how much calories you're burning during the day. And if you use it in conjunction with, I use another app called MyFitnessPal, which helps you track your food and also the nutrients. So, you know, the healthy fats, the carbs, the proteins, all of that you're eating. Now, you don't have to go like that. I did it because for me, I'm a visual person and I needed to see exactly what was going on in my body. And what I found was I was eating way too much. Even though it was really good food, I was eating way more calories than I was actually moving. So I know a lot of people don't like doing calories, and that's totally fine. But I think when you're at that pivotal point of wanting to make a change, it is good to know that the calories going into your body, they have to be used up or they store. So when you're on that turning point and still making those changes, something like this and the MyFitnessPal app can really help you stay on track and really be able to see what's, you know, happening in your day. But we're going to go a little bit more into nutrition and taking care of, you know, your insides in the next few modules. But if you want to track your steps, the other thing this baby does is tracks your sleep. So it knows when you're still, and it can track your sleep. It can tell you how many times you wake up during the night, you know, how much movement's happening, how much rest you're actually having, and it tells you how many hours you're sleeping of a night. So for me, it's great because I like knowing that stuff. I probably don't pay too much attention now because I know I'm very much balanced now. But when I was first trying to get my balance back, and I had identified that it was lack of movement and too much going in my body and not enough being burnt and lack of sleep, this helped me so much. And I have it most days because I still like to keep track of things because I still have a little goal that I'm trying to achieve. And I know now how to sort of maintain my weight. I know how to do things to help me lose a little bit. So now it's just me. It's more the science of things for me. But if you're a visual person and you'd like to be able to track your sleep and your water and things like that, create a new habit, which may be using a tool to help you really document and see exactly what you're doing each day. And maybe your new ritual is when you wake up in the morning, see what your things were last night, see how long you slept. And it might be a really good guide for you to see if that new ritual of your nighttime close down is actually working. So I'm just going to quickly go in because I know that Geraldine asked a question. And I'm pretty sure we did cover it, but I just want to go and double check if we had all that information right. So I know the nighttime ritual was a really important thing. So everyone talks about a morning ritual, but there's not so much talk about setting up nighttime ones. So you can have morning, lunchtime, nighttime, whatever rituals you need to help you create that balance in your life, set them up. So if I just quickly have a look. So yeah, so the nighttime ritual can really be whatever you feel. So for me, as I mentioned, I love listening to Louise Hayes. She has it's like an affirmation but nighttime meditation. And basically all she does, sorry, it just dropped out then. Basically all she does is she says a whole heap of positive affirmations, and it really just helps retrain your mind to a more positive wave, which I really needed because I've grown up. So if we want to talk about my health history, so I've grown up in a house where my dad liked to drink a lot and my mum worked, keeps shutting down on me. My mum worked lots of jobs. So it's really important for me to tell you that I've sort of grown up in this life where I didn't feel good enough. And I was always questioning myself and my abilities and everything like that because of the house that I grew up in. But things can change, and you can change yourself, and you don't need to stick to those, sort of things. So for me, I needed to work on my positiveness and my self-worth. So that's why I put that into my nighttime ritual, because I needed to hear it and I needed to believe it. And even some mornings when I'm doing my training, I listen to another one of her things and I really just take it in. And I did that actually for the whole month of January. That was a big thing I wanted to. And I can tell you that it made a huge difference with my self-confidence and my self-worth. And any of you beautiful ladies who know me, and I know Kath and Denise especially, have seen me through some highs and lows. And it's a lot of this, how I'm feeling now, is attributed to listening to setting up that ritual and listening to Louise Hayes' affirmations. So definitely whatever feels right for you, if the soft music helps you, if the tea and maybe just a good book helps you, whatever it is that fits into you time, it's about having your self-love, self-care time. So have a sort of a deeper look into yourself and see what that time means to you. Now, I know when we were talking last week, we were mentioning about maybe being too full on with our rituals or too regimented with them. As much as they are a habit and something that it's good to form, it's also good to know that there will be days that you just really can't do it. And it could be for anyone, a number of reasons, but you have to be okay with that. As long as if you can't do it in the morning, you know you can pick it up tomorrow. Or if you can't do it in the morning and you find time 2 hours later, then do it then. But it's not to sort of take over and become another overwhelming part of your life if you can't do it. We all know that shit happens, really. So life just gives us all these different things. But it's important to not feel too bad about it at the time and just know that we can pick it up the next day. And that is the important thing, is to pick it up the next day and to make sure that it doesn't throw you off track and then you just forget about it altogether. One of the common things that I hear and my clients tell me, and that I do myself, is that I know the right things to do And I do them for a while, and then I just go back to my old ways and wonder why my weight's creeping back up, why I'm so stressed and anxious all the time. And it's because I've lost those rituals and I've stopped doing those things that I know made me feel good. This has actually been the longest time that I have stayed, maintained and continued on my weight loss journey and my health journey. And that is because even when I do have days, like I went out on Saturday night, which is not something that I usually do, and Sunday I didn't feel right, and I ate lots of pasta and cheese like a good little Italian girl. And I knew at the end of the day I didn't feel very good about it, but I felt great about living. So you do have to live. And I knew on Monday what I needed to do to help get my body back on track. And so I think once you learn those rituals and you keep picking yourself back up to make sure you stay on track, it does get a lot easier. So I hope that's really helped with your rituals. I don't think the girls are going to make it on today, which is a shame, but we will try and go back to the nighttime one next week. So hopefully I can get to see more of you. Or if you've got another time that suits, maybe a Saturday morning, if you're all free on a Saturday morning. I definitely am. I don't have my little guy Saturdays. So I would love to hear from you, because I would love to have you all on the call. It's a bit weird talking to myself. And plus for me, I really want to hear about your journey and what's been changing in your life. So if you have any questions about the rituals and what we've chatted about today, please head into the group and add your comments, or you can email me privately. The other thing is, you now have a link available there for you to book in your okay, I just got a message from Kerry. So you can book in your session with me now, your one-on-one session. So if you are ready, I have got some of your health histories and wheels back. So for those people, please book in your one-on-one session with me and we can start going through your health history and start looking a little bit deeper, so I can help you with these rituals. If you're still finding it hard to think of like, oh, what can I put in place for myself? We can chat about that a little bit more in our one-on-one session. Also, yeah, so book that in. Also, if you have any questions and you're feeling a little bit stuck still on some different things, please feel free to reach out. I'm here to support you, so I'm more than happy to help you in whatever way you need. All right, well, that's today's session. Thank you so much, and I look forward to hearing all about your new rituals and how they relate to your lifestyle wheel and what elements of your life you're looking to start to change. All right, lots of love to you. Have an amazing day.